this is a legendary situation that will never happen.
I mean, I guess we hope it all doesn't happen, right? If it does happen, someone's really deserved it. So
yeah,
I don't think this is going to be a 3-0. And I know I said that before, but this one, I believe is going to go 3-2. And a big part of me is obviously looking at how is Wenger regrouping and how is he going to manage this. And my only real commentary is he can't afford to get sucked into MAXTER's game, and that's what we felt in the Razier set earlier. He didn't play his game, and he was out of his own comfort zone. And if he does that against MAXTER, he's going to get punished just as hard because MAXTER has some of the best damage output in the league, and he won't be able to match that.
Now, historically speaking, and this one's actually very interesting, MAXTER has beaten VENGEURR more than the other way around. So they played each other 3 times, and MAXTER has won 2 out of the 3. Now, the most recent one did go in favor of VENGEURR, I think quite convincingly, so 3-0, I believe it was. But
during the regular season?
Yes, I think it was during the regular season. But generally speaking, you know, MAXTER has been beating VENGEURR, right? He mentioned it during his interview as well, right? Yeah, I'm here with, you know, the 5 other top dogs of the league, but I have beaten every last one of them, whether on LAN, whether online. I have done it before, and I'm hoping to do it again. And clearly, when it comes to VENGEURR, he has repeatedly.
Wow. Should have let Dan guess again. I like to see it. Dan, you've got a good track record this QuakeCon, Dan. You've called quite a bit, so good on you.
I'll close my notes next time.
yeah. I don't know. We don't know. He's always the first one up here. He could be looking through your notebook. Who knows? We are going to get started here in just a moment with this lower bracket. Don't forget, we've got another one coming up after this. That will be Kilson versus Zanaku, which, again, another amazing match. And then we're going to pop back up to the upper bracket and see Razy versus Rafa, which... hope you like tasty treats. Should be amazing. Here's where we're at right now. We've seen a lot of players go home. We had started with 6 today, 8 matches. Kilson versus Zanaku, and then VENGEURR versus MAXTER, which is on stage right now. To just think that you're going to roll into another brutal mini-boss right after this one is rough. And at this point, you can't really be thinking about the what-ifs and what might happen. You've just got to look at the massive Goliath in front of you and figure out how you're going to take him down with a sling.
Pretty much, yeah. There's no other way to summarize it. And then you've got to concentrate on how much stamina you have to take off the next Goliath that's going to fall into your path. Right. They just keep cascading down from the upper bracket.
Yeah, I mean, but each one has said very consistently, like, this is the point where you can't really be thinking about, oh, I hope I play this or not this person or avoid this person, because it's anything, the cards could just play out however, and you've got to be able to deal with it. And frankly, I think that's championship quality.
Yeah, I mean, and that's also especially true when you're down to the lower bracket, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, Razy was talking about it with us earlier. I think you asked the question, Wheat, and he was like, yeah, you know, I've been down in the lower bracket very, very often, and it would be great to continue through the uppers, because otherwise, just look at what you have to get through. Look at how many matches, how many top players you need to beat. So best of 5 as well, right? This isn't your granny's best of 3. This is
right, exactly. Yeah,
this is big show.
And Razy brought up the other point too. You get the pick ban advantage, you get the map advantage, and he's been on the other side of that one too many times. So I get it why that might be as important as that belt there, because I think it just increases your chances of putting that belt around your waist.
Yeah, I think he's still got PTSD from one of the first finals. He had to have Death Knight when Death Knight was basically a useless Pokemon.
It was so close as well. It went to the final map. It was the Deep Embrace, best of 7. He was so close, and then he's stuck with Death Knight, who at that point was more or less useless in the meta. So, yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen today to either one of these competitors.
Well, 2 incredibly focused competitors here on the final day of QuakeCon, and I see that map loading. My palms are getting a little sweaty. I'm getting all excited, Dan. This is good. But it's also incredible to think that one of these players is going to go home. For MAXTER, what an epic victory this would be, but what a devastating loss it would be for VENGEURR. I'm not even going to try to call it. Let's just see how the games play out, and we'll see you on the other side, Dan. Bye. Peace.
There we go. Now it's just the 2 of us, Wheat, as warm-up is about to draw to a close. We've got MAXTER, we've got VENGEURR. This is a lower bracket match, so the loser will be leaving us today, whereas the winner will be advancing, and the audience is making some noise as we're starting it off on the perspective of MAXTER.
Yeah, I'm really just excited that we are starting this series off on Deep Embrace 2. Probably one of my favorite maps in the pool, just because it tends to be a little bonkers, a little bit of chaos. It does force players to kind of figure out how they're going to deal with certain situations, and there's not a whole lot of places to hide. So it kind of forces 10 minutes of some type of action, and I expect action is exactly what we're going to be able to get, as MAXTER already trying to deal with the pressure that VENGEURR's putting on from that heavy. And we saw such a remarkable game between VENGEURR and Strong Sage yesterday on this one, just as a really great example of what can happen. And there's the first frag going to VENGEURR. And already, Flea, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but already, like, VENGEURR looks incredibly focused.
He does. He absolutely does. So far, his game has been on point. Look at that 80% railgun damage. That is huge when it comes in terms of accuracy, rather. And MAXTER is really struggling to get footing of the map. Loving the patience from VENGEURR as well. He knows that he can dodge almost all of those plasma bolts from a distance, and that all he needs to do is land one shot to significantly outdamage MAXTER. Oh my goodness. Still 75% railgun accuracy. VENGEURR is absolutely not giving his opponent any room to breathe. And here we go. He's going to pounce on him again. Plasma Trail is going to do some damage. Won't be enough, though. VENGEURR's got to be careful, though.
Yeah.
He's a little tender right now. Might not be the smartest choice to just set up over on the heavy.
That's, you know, also one of the reasons I really like Deep Embrace, because things can turn around in a matter of moments, and there's one great example of that, right? It's very rare that you're going to be able to convert a frag and just, you know, have a full stack and be super clean. So you've always got to be thinking about where your opponent may have spawned, what they might come at you with. Will they be aggressive? What are you going to do to try to get back up if you don't get that clean frag? And that's just kind of a natural evolution of a Deep Embrace game. But MAXTER sending back some rails, return to sender there to VENGEURR. And 2 minutes in, already a lot of action. The LG coming out, and a big rocket. I don't think VENGEURR was really expecting that one, but MAXTER's keeping that pressure on quite well.
I mean, on paper, in theory, the play was solid, right? Allow MAXTER to just let the speed drive him, jump far into the room, and you just stop him face first with that LG. But nope, MAXTER got so close that he was able to switch to the rockets and finish it off quickly. And ultimately, relatively clean. He didn't take all that much damage. Now, Mega and Heavy, both up at the same time. Slight delay between the items. Before this previous fight, there was pretty much 15 seconds separating them, so there was a perfect division between the items, but now they're much closer to being in sync, so that's going to make it difficult for full control to be established.
MAXTER's like, oh, hey, VENGEURR, you got a 75% rail? Watch, I can do this too. He's got a 75% rail. In fact, both players just above. Now they dropped down to 60, but that's okay. Incredible start to this matchup as both players hitting all of their shots. You know, sometimes we've seen it on the other side where a player's hitting all their shots and the other player's like, how are you hitting all their shots? But when both players are just nailing every single pinpoint pixel rail that they possibly can, it definitely makes for an interesting game. MAXTER doing a great job of keeping that pressure on. You know, it looked early like VENGEURR was going to be able to have a level of control, and I would say that both players really battling it out here. Once again, caught up in the upper level. Ooh, the inject comes out, but immediately deleted, and then possibly a conversion frag. Ooh, that was good damage coming out from VENGEURR, but more importantly, MAXTER did get that conversion frag.
As solid as VENGEURR's opening to the map was, as good is MAXTER's clapback right now. He's one frag in the lead, and he's going into this clearly with a very determined game plan, right? Close the gap, get up close and personal, rockets, shoddy, LG if need be. That's how he wants to play the game. But even outside of that range, like you mentioned, Wheat, his railgun accuracy has been sublime. So MAXTER right now really seems to be the complete package.
It is interesting how that kind of close range get in your face I wouldn't say it completely negates the inject, but it does make it, like we just saw it right there, you know, rocket, inject, shotgun to finish it off. I kind of like the approach that MAXTER is taking on this with sort of that aggression, and you know, not something that VENGEURR's definitely dealt with this before, but you know, interesting. I wouldn't say like this is typical play that we'd see from MAXTER, but he has that game plan here. It's working.
Absolutely. He's got to be careful though. Tribolt versus Tribolt. MAXTER's reigns supreme at, I think, a single point of health.
Yeah.
And VENGEURR, he smells the blood in the water. He knows that his opponent is weak, and while he might not have the same level of explosive speed as Slash does, he's still plenty fast and mobile on Anarchy. Nice little jump shot.
But again, it's really showing on Deep Embrace how rare it is to walk away from a frag and not be, you know, screaming, as we saw it both in MAXTER's case and VENGEURR's case. More importantly, though, we're tied back up 5-5, and we're halfway through this map #1. And, you know, we do talk here at Quake a lot about momentum and how important that can be, especially in a best-of-5. You know, winning that first map can do great things for sort of, you know, overall mental health there in the game and in the series. And so it's crucially important to each of them that they try to take this initial map.
Absolutely. VENGEURR now positioning himself on top of the pillar. Heavy's about to spawn. That's a good rocket from MAXTER, still applying pressure. Stacks are actually relatively balanced right now. And Heavy's gonna spawn. That's gonna be the next major point that both of these players are gonna be looking at. It's LG on LG, we're seeing it through, and MAXTER's is strong.
I mean, toe-to-toe in some of these battles that just like 1 or 2 cells of LG are deciding it.
Yeah.
Really impressive, but MAXTER regains the lead, putting VENGEURR the back foot once again. VENGEURR landing a nice rail there. MAXTER taking a second to think about, okay, what's my next move here? Big rocket does come out, follows up with the second one. It's very low though, and VENGEURR manages to tie it back up yet again. 6-6, lands a beautiful rail. VENGEURR now with an opportunity to convert on that one. Rocket's coming out. He's got his opponent back in the corner. Mid-air for the frag, 6-7 with less than 4 minutes left to go.
VENGEURR kind of taking a play out of MAXTER's book right there. Just inject all aggression right in his face, rocket into Shoddy. And here we go, now MAXTER again, he's screaming, he's screeching, he is low, he's got to get out of there. Heavy is up, should be able to secure it, but does he get out? There we go,
there it
good
is.
rocket through the floorboards. And VENGEURR is managing the spawn so well.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think he was expected to take that much damage at all, Wheat. I thought, yeah, okay, he's gonna take some. The inject, allowing him to dodge out of the way. Yes, he's got a lead, but there's still 3 minutes left.
Yeah, now the speed over to VENGEURR's side a little bit here, as he is now taking this tied game and is now up by 3, but with 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining, still a lot of time for anything that could happen. Some MAXTER clawback from that initial loss, and that was a big frag there for VENGEURR at the middle level. Might be able to convert on this one. This would put him in a pretty comfortable spot here, given that we are about to hit the 2-minute warning.
VENGEURR's been looking so much more confident these past couple of minutes. He's really just been running the spawns, right? It feels like every single time he gets a frag, he makes another one happen right after, because he is there to apply pressure off spawn. And MAXTER, he knows that time is running out. He needs some big damage. He needs it now.
Oh, wow.
But VENGEURR is not just going to let that happen. Will actually be the first one out of the room, using that inject, getting small armor, health bubbles around the map, and now MAXTER, he needs to take a fight, but he doesn't have the resources to do so.
Yeah, and I mean, really solid play there by VENGEURR. No, he knew both of them taking considerable damage. He shot a rocket over here to the murder hole, and then managed to pick up that health. Now, MAXTER does bring it back, and this puts in a really interesting spot. If he could convert right here on that 7th frag, I think he's in a spot to be able to potentially tie this up. You can see the speed there will be advantageous to him in that regard. Lands a very nice rail, going to go after it. The inject does not come out quite yet as he's holding on to it, and then juking over to the side, landing that rail. 8-11, 1 minute to get 3 frags to tie this up.
It's possible, it's doable. MAXTER can do it. Good rail to open things up with. Is he gonna sit around for Heavy? No, he's gonna play really the aggressive game. Oh, there we go. MAXTER gets up close with the super Shoddy. Now VENGEURR forced onto the hyper defensive. MAXTER's gonna hear him, that hoverboard that makes a whole lot of noise. MAXTER drops down. Oh, that's a bad rocket to take. And just like that, the engagement nullified. MAXTER cannot push ahead. Mega is up, he's probably gonna loop around, secure himself a little bit of extra health. Indeed he does, but now it's all about the hunt, the chase. Can he find VENGEURR twice?
Yeah, and of course not having the armor there means that it's possible here for VENGEURR. He's got the speed to be able to chase down, but He's got to basically make the right call based off of where Vengeurr's going and how he's rotating through. A missed jump there to get that heavy. He sees his opponent go right past him. He's going to go after him. He does catch him in his crosshairs, gets a little bit of shotgun damage, but now as the 10 seconds, final seconds tick away, it looks like Vengeurr is going to take that one by 2 frags. And, you know, I don't think you can say convincingly, yes, Vengeurr looked great. Yes, Vengeurr 100%, you know, took that one. But, you know, MAXTER looked really nice in that matchup. And if you were to ask me, well, based off of that, do you think MAXTER has a chance to take some games away? 100%.
I mean, just to pick up on that, right? Like Vengeurr, yes, he got himself the win, but looking at the item control, MAXTER, significantly more major items. Looking at the damage output, MAXTER, quite a bit of additional damage as well. So on both item control and damage, MAXTER did better on paper, at least when it comes to the statistics. So indeed, as you were saying, Wheat, indeed, Vengeurr did secure himself the win, but this was far from flawless. This was far from convincing for this stage in the tournament.
But, you know, like, when we are at this point, you do kind of expect that. When 2 great players, full of skills, kind of going at it, you do expect that there's going to be some ups and downs. A mistake can also, you know, put some frags up on your opponent's scoreboard. But, you know, I just like to see the back and forth battle. Like, to me, that is a good indication that you've just got 2 incredible skill sets that are just kind of duking it out. And we already said, Deep Embrace is a unique map. It's pretty small. We had 2 incredibly fast champions. And so that was what we expected. And just like you mentioned, looking at that item control and pickup, pretty incredible. That 42% LG and 53% rail from Vengeurr was probably a big part of that victory for him. But yeah, the damage, really, really interesting how that kind of...
I mean, yeah, if you look at the accuracy, it was all about Vengeurr, but overall damage, we don't have the total tally, but it was MAXTER by, I think, 200 or 300 points of damage. And then if you look at the items, right, 24 for MAXTER versus just 11 for Vengeurr, that just shows that his control absolutely was not in favor of the Italian.
Considering that in the first semifinal, Vengeurr, who was 3-0'd by his teammate Razy, right, like, I would imagine that in any series, winning that first map is helpful for your own momentum, your own mindset, etc. Having come off of the 3-0 versus Razy, I think that was a critically important win for Vengeurr. If MAXTER would have taken it, do I still think Vengeurr has the potential to take series? I do, but that should be a confidence booster to be like, okay, I play my game, I hit my shots, and we're going to be able to, you know, to do this. On the flip side, like, MAXTER's never really been one to be flustered, and I think we saw that in his interview. We've seen it in his regular play as well. So I'm just excited for a reboot into Map 2, but I would say probably pretty important that Vengeurr was able to pick up that first map win, just to say, okay, I'm not 0-4 today on the final day of QuakeCon, because that kind of feels bad, man.
No, absolutely. This is definitely going to help him out moving forward, right? Yes, it's one map on the board. You always want that, but still, the psychological component cannot be underestimated here. And after suffering, you know, what to many will be a pretty devastating loss against Razy, it's really, really important for him to secure the first one here. Now, you know, MAXTER, continue.
Well, I was going to say one other thing, is that I feel like MAXTER won a majority of those LG battles in map number 1, right? And the 2 times that they kind of went toe-and-toe, that's going to be really important here on Keep, and I just, you know, wonder if that's going to factor in at all. We'll have to see.
And indeed, here we go, Corrupted Keep. We saw a lot of railgun action on the first map. That will not be the case on this one. Corrupted Keep, only map in the pool without a railgun. Good use of the super shotty by Vengeurr, though, to take care of that peeker. MAXTER immediately pushing it out at the very opening of the game. We're starting it off so far a little bit cagey. Oh, not anymore. Here we go. Vengeurr pushes in. Out comes the shotty, but he is out positioned by MAXTER. He definitely didn't want to have position down below at the stairs. Maybe if he was able to pick up LG, that would have worked nicely, but he didn't. And so he was fighting up against an opponent that was holding the high ground, and when all you've got is rockets or shoddy then not
a whole lot of resolution there on that one. And that was unfortunate, but MAXTER capitalized nicely on that one. Vengeurr's really not going to let up, though. Almost keeping that pressure on, not going to allow MAXTER to necessarily take control off of that first frag, and I think that's needed. You mentioned he, you know, nice use of the super shotgun to take out that peeker, but just want to remind everyone, like, if you're strong stage, you just use your orb. delete the peeker.
Yeah, no, it works. It works. Yeah, I think you can do it.
All right, one frag, 1 minute in.
Yeah. Relatively slow start. We saw a burst of aggression, one that VENGEURR most definitely regrets, right? I was not expecting him to fully commit to that one, chasing through the teleporter. Good LG though. There we go. This should be an excellent force. Oh, somehow it all goes wrong.
He just landed literally on the rocket of MAXTER, who looked like he shot straight up into the air, but the second frag coming out. And I have to say that both engagements that we've seen VENGEURR in have come obviously in favor of MAXTER. I like the fact that VENGEURR is trying to keep the pace and pressure going, but we mentioned LG battles, and it was MAXTER who runs out trying to finish off with the heavy machine gun. Both players screaming for their lives, but VENGEURR is the one who is able to bring that back, and he needed that frag.
It's interesting that MAXTER was the one to break away first when VENGEURR was down to 3 points of health. A single tickle of LG would have gotten it done. Now, VENGEURR setting up in the red room. Oh, that's a fair bit of peeker damage coming out right there. There's a lot of information, mainly for MAXTER as well. He knows where his opponent is at. He should be able to kind of freely maneuver himself onto the rockets. But the one thing that MAXTER is missing right now, Wheat, is that LG. Such an important weapon. VENGEURR is going to make sure that if he gets a hold of it, he's going to put up a big fight. But again, these orb pushes, they're just not working out for VENGEURR. Wheat, I think that's the third one where he went aggressively, used the orb, and he ended up dying. It feels like all of the frags that MAXTER have gotten have been fights that VENGEURR initiated.
Yeah,
it really has been.
It is true. And that bodes well for MAXTER. Of course, I don't expect that to be the case for every initiation that VENGEURR is going to make throughout this tournament or throughout this game. It just happens to be how it is played out. Now, MAXTER has VENGEURR kind of trapped at the top here, but is forced to kind of get out of there, trying to do some tri-bolt damage just to kind of soften the stack from VENGEURR, and did a good job at doing that. But we've both our major items still so close together, which means that we're having a lot of split there. Orb comes out, no real chance for a bad engagement there because the orb just doesn't do much other than just back MAXTER off a little bit.
Heavy's gonna be spawning soon, so is Mega. A little delay between the items. Tri-bolt will not connect. Mega. Both players are eyeing it. MAXTER knows that he's in a weaker position, can't just push in. It is VENGEURR who's now dominating the area. Small armor is gonna spawn. That's a good push from MAXTER. VENGEURR, despite having the better position, unable to do anything. His rockets weren't connecting.
They
MAXTER's
weren't.
LG was, and in doing so, plus having that extra piece of small armor to his name, allowed the Argentinian player to just walk right in and take away the Mega, and VENGEURR decided to just leave it to him, fall back on the heavy.
Some of those engagements where MAXTER's getting 30, 40, 50 damage with the LG before the fight even begins, you know, it is always a great feeling as a player to get that damage unanswered. And in those cases, like you mentioned, the rockets really weren't doing the job. So MAXTER's just had a great sense of his weapon selection and preparing and what do you have out to be ready for that. Again, some more LG damage goes unanswered, and you know, I feel like that is definitely one of the reasons like MAXTER has a really solid lead right now. Good rocket bounce up to the top. Gonna go ahead and throw the peeker out to do a little damage. Quickly dispatched. But look at the aggression and the pressure that VENGEURR continues to put on. Ooh.
Oh. Nice bit of tri-bolt damage there as well. Heavy is up. It's going to be a race for the item. MAXTER, though, decides that he wants no part in it. He knows that he's ahead.
There it is.
But only by one frag now. VENGEURR closing the gap. And finally we see one of those big orb pushes work out in favor of the Italian.
Bound to happen eventually, and that one just was perfectly found its target. So now a one frag lead for MAXTER still. And we are seeing a little bit of time between these two. That might allow the heavy to be picked up. Nope, MAXTER still able to grab it, but VENGEURR doing a good job in defending that position, forcing his opponent into a fight. I could see a couple more seconds in delay there, and one of these players could take full control here on Deep Embrace. We're hitting the 6-minute mark, 4 minutes left to go. Still a lot of time. And this could be the chance right here. Gonna orb right up in the face, and he does manage to get the rocket follow-up, and of course the heavy. So big frag here for VENGEURR just for control. Now has his opponent stuck at the top of the statue. Runs out of LG damage, does get a nice shotgun blast, but does clean up the frag with that heavy machine gun.
This is looking better and better for VENGEURR. MAXTER now doesn't have an LG to work with. Picked up a heavy machine gun. Here we go. That's a lot of damage being taken. Mega does spawn. VENGEURR eats a whole lot of rocket damage from down below. Decides he wants no part in it. Will be able to secure heavy. And I think that this is a good decision from MAXTER to not go in too aggressively, right? He's only down by 1 frag. There's still over 3 minutes left to be played. Ooh. He can play this calm and collected. Focus on the items. Be the first one to restack. Get positioning onto Mega. He can be in a good spot to regain control over the map, but it is actually VENGEURR who is first in position. LG on LG. MAXTER knows he's not going to win that one. He has to retreat. This is a good opportunity for the Maestro player.
Oh, coming out of the corner. Nice rocket there by MAXTER, but this could be an opportunity once again for VENGEURR to take both of the major items. He did give up Mega in the last rotation to his opponent, but with 3 minutes and about 2 minutes 40 remaining, that control there could be a game decider. Depending on what happens here. VENGEURR, though, despite getting both the major items, has less stack. And he does have the lead, but still needs to be careful because we've seen how quickly that can snowball.
Absolutely. This is Corrupted Keep, after all. A map where 1 frag very often turns into another. Sometimes even 2 or 3. And now MAXTER is on the hunt. Look at the stack he's got to work with. We both of the major items. Big peeker as well. This should be a frag, and he does. He ties it up.
Yep,
and he's
real
on the hunt.
big hit.
He's on the hunt. He wants to chain it into another one. Oh, VENGEURR perhaps slightly overextending, making a play for the rockets. Does manage to survive, but MAXTER is just happy to leave him alive, knowing that he's crippled, knowing that he's the one who can fall back onto the Mega, onto the heavy.
And that is going to allow MAXTER to take full control here while he's tied up in 1:40 remaining. That's actually a good spot to be in if you are going to be going to a sudden death overtime, and MAXTER doesn't want to let it do it. Orb does come out. He turns off to the side and finishes up with the rocket. And MAXTER gets the frag 5-4, and a great setup for himself to potentially win this second game here. VENGEURR is certainly not out, but that was a nice display there by MAXTER to potentially avoid that sudden death.
Wow, MAXTER! Gorgeous rockets, and now all the pressure is on VENGEURR. Oh, no. 1 single point of health is all he's got to work with. And this is exactly what MAXTER wants. Forcing his opponent in an impossible position, and now... Yes, this is Corrupted Keep, but I don't see this one happening anymore,
I don't either. I think, honestly, Peeker needs a little metal there. VENGEURR does try to get that orb frag, but a direct rocket followed by a 65. Not much that VENGEURR can do right now, and that is going to mean that MAXTER will pick up this second game. And that means we will not have another 3-0 that we had seen in both of the upper brackets. Let's see what happens in the next 20 seconds. But great job by MAXTER. I think that the one peeker that we saw above Mega to take that 5th frag was incredibly crucial for MAXTER. Because, you know, he did the damage, he got the hit, and he knew. He could smell the blood. Like a shark in the water, just went after his opponent.
Around 4,000 damage for MAXTER versus just 2,600 for VENGEURR. The damage output has just been lacking. We saw it consistently when he went up against Razy, right? We saw it. I don't think there's been a single map VENGEURR has played today where he was the one dealing the more damage. Even when he beat MAXTER on map 1 weed, he still got outshot, got out-aimed. Of course, a lot of it has to do with the decision-making as well, the positioning, right? Where you are able to position yourself around the map to control the stack that you have. It allows for so many more opportunities to deal damage, but still, this is not a performance that VENGEURR is going to be happy with, I think.
Yeah, and it was around that 7-minute mark that, you know, VENGEURR had some really, really solid control. That orb and that exchange in the red room was really interesting. Taking a look here. Yeah, look at that, that rocket damage alone from MAXTER's. Really impressive.
1,500 versus just 400. That's something.
And I should note that now that we are tied 1-1 in the series, we are 100% going to see VENGEURR play on that clutch, which I'm pretty interested in seeing how that one is going to play out. That's versus the Visor on Blood of all maps. So next is going to be Awoken, where it's going to be VENGEURR on the Doom and MAXTER on the Death Knight.
Okay, okay. Doom used to be a staple pick on the map that is Awoken, right? But then we saw some balance changes being made, slight nerf to the height of his double jump. So there's a few jumps that he was able to do, like for example at the LG to the tribal ledge, that he can't simply get off anymore. Now, on the other hand, MAXTER playing Death Knight, Decay has not been the most common pick, but out of the arenas where we do see him picked, I would say Veil and Awoken are probably the two most common ones.
It's really going to force VENGEURR to, I think, right, step up his aim game, right? You mentioned he hasn't been dishing out as much damage as he needs to. This is exactly the kind of map and kind of picks in which he is going to have to. I mean, both players obviously are trying to accomplish the same thing, but I think that he needs to kind of pick that up if he wants to be able to take this series. And this is a good map to showcase that, but we'll see.
I'm curious to see how VENGEURR is going to be using the Berserk, his active ability, right? Very few people use it to actually try and deal damage to their opponent, but they mainly use it as a tool to relocate, to get that instant speed boost, and of course to be able to lunge forward by punching the air, as Doomslayer somehow does. Now we've started things off on the point of view of MAXTER. He's gotten himself the Mega Sight, LG. Oh, VENGEURR, hyper-aggressive, dropping down rockets, knowing that his opponent is still lacking most of the weapons. But those flames, they hurt. We can never discount that ability of Death Knight.
You can't. They seem weak, you know, when you pick up a health bubble, but when they start ticking away, a little rough. Great rail coming out. Opportunity for that first frag to go to VENGEURR, but he's very, very low, and he does manage to get that first frag with a heavy machine gun. Less than 1 minute in, he puts himself on the map. It started off a little aggressive, like you said, was stopped, and that's something that I would expect to see out of MAXTER's Death Knight, is try to use those flames to stop that aggression. If you have a good enough stack, you might be able to fight through that a little bit, but considering how well MAXTER has aimed today in his match here versus VENGEURR, it's still something that he's got to be a little worried about dealing with.
Yeah. VENGEURR did an excellent job during that first fight, or that first life of MAXTER, to utilize that mobility of his to deny weaponry, right? He was very good at making sure that his opponent did not get rockets or rail at the start. And he knew that he was the one who could take fights at an angle that his opponent couldn't. And that is ultimately what allowed him to clean up that first kill of this map. Now keep in mind, it is 1-1. Things are tied, but this is a best-of-5 series, so we're going to see at least one more map after this one.
Both players slowing it down a little bit after that first minute of aggression, looking for an opening with a rail shot or perhaps a nice predictive rocket. VENGEURR does manage to land a rail there, which will force MAXTER back. And you can already see, oh, big rocket coming around the corner. LG coming out. The flames do go down. He is going to decide to fight while burning, and he picks up the health in order to stop that, but picking up, more importantly, that second frag. That was a beautifully placed rocket, and the kind of thing that's going to allow you to up that score and that potential lead. Nicely done. I understand why MAXTER threw out those flames to try to give him some sort of advantage after being put in a disadvantaged spot, but VENGEURR handled it well.
And now VENGEURR's got to try and restack, right? He's got no armor to his name. Oh, takes a bad rail there as well. Is actually still railable. I love what MAXTER is doing, just holding the angle.
Yeah.
Hoping for the double back. Don't think he's going to be able to clean this up unless VENGEURR decides to jump across. No, he gets himself the small armor. and the Mega Health as well. That's well played by VENGEURR. He was in a tricky situation, bad spot for a moment there, but was ultimately able to quickly get himself back to a decent fighting stack. And now MAXTER had an opportunity to put himself on the board, but he'll have to wait for a little longer.
Could have a little
Oh,
exciting little meetup here. Oh, big damage coming out by MAXTER. Not only the direct rocket, but putting it on flames on it. And that was a great way to get that first frag. And an example of how that burst damage, if used properly, can really turn the tides of a game. Now, you also surprise your opponent. I'm not sure VENGEURR was totally expecting that, but it's one of those situations, Flea, where you think, okay, probably VENGEURR will be thinking about that and expecting that to happen again, right? Is that going to be another trap that he'll be able to, MAXTER will be able to use in this matchup? Probably unlikely, but we'll see how it plays out. Most important thing is he stopped VENGEURR's momentum.
Yes.
That's really big here on Awoken.
I mean, that's just going to be a bit of a reminder for VENGEURR, I think, right? You do not want to be playing the crawling game through the choke point, through the winding corridors, the small close combat areas, because you are outgunned when you are up against that flame strike. Those are not the places that he wants to take those fights at, and I think that VENGEURR is now probably going to be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more careful, avoiding putting himself in those kinds of situations. And here we go, LG on LG, rails come out, both players are low, Mega's about to spawn. Can MAXTER find the shot in time? No, he cannot.
Oh, wow.
Oh, but VENGEURR is still weak.
Oh, that was big
Indeed.
flames, and also just the rail to negate that mega health. Quite nice coming out by MAXTER. So he walks out of there actually, you know, he was not in the greatest spot, but because he hit that rail and has the armor stack, there's not much that VENGEURR can do to get aggressive here, and that allows MAXTER to kind of hold on to that control after that last frag he got. So Mega's back up, picked up by MAXTER. Grab a little bit more rail and just set up here for the heavy, giving him potentially full control of the map.
Problem now, though, is that VENGEURR does have a significant mobility advantage. That double jump gives him a lot of leeway around the center area of the map. Allows him to more easily maneuver. I feel like MAXTER, though, has got the better awareness. He's got the better grasp of the map. Earlier, for example, he chased his opponent while he was down to 63 points of health in a railgun battle, right? Because he was so confident in the fact that VENGEURR would not be checking his back, that VENGEURR would not be trying to go for another angle. And indeed, he was entirely right. So when it comes to situational awareness, reading your opponent, I'm definitely favoring MAXTER right now. And he needs it too to be able to catch up with the Doomslayer.
These two played some mind games, jumping spot just to try to say, maybe I'm over here, maybe I'm not. VENGEURR trying to play a play out of MAXTER's playbook.
Yeah, we saw it yesterday in Crafted Kyiv.
But less than 4 minutes to go, only one frag separating these two. VENGEURR has the lead, but he is still having to play like he is playing from behind. Rocket jump by MAXTER for a little bit of aggression. Thinks his opponent might be there, but he's nowhere to be found. Finally catches a quick glimpse of it right there as Mega is going to be up. I like the use of flames there to kind of zone your opponent out. What a rail from MAXTER. It follows up with the second one. Is he going to go in? Yes, he goes for the rocket jump, misses that rail. But kind of puts VENGEURR into a run for your life kind of a situation.
Look at that. He is just aiming at the very bottom of that small armor because he knows that is what VENGEURR has got his eyes on. Man, that was not one, but two pixel rails in quick succession. VENGEURR probably confused as to how he got hit both times.
And this stack.
Yeah, MAXTER got a great stack, but ultimately he's no closer to finishing off VENGEURR than he was before.
He's not. You're absolutely right. Oh, big rail. Gonna be upset that one missed. That one, though, connecting. And another one, allowing him to cleanly get this heavy. Ooh, almost lands that one as well. Light was picked up by VENGEURR, but MAXTER, just with all of the thoughtfulness behind the shots, some of them are hitting. Some of those could be potential game-tying frags, but another great rail coming out, and the rockets of VENGEURR may stop that aggression from MAXTER, but just for a moment. as we are about to hit the 2-minute warning.
Indeed, we are. 2 minutes left to go. 1 frag to get for MAXTER to tie it up. Both players looking closely at the clock. VENGEURR going for a nice little catch. That was good. LG has got such knockback, and on land, players have been talking about how good it's felt, Wheat. So if you can catch your opponent off guard like that, just stop them dead in their tracks with LG to the face, that can go a long way. Nice. Good rail as well. MAXTER down to 13 points of health. But VENGEURR decides to just reposition and go for heavy instead. Doesn't want to extend his lead. Thinks at least that situation was a little bit too risky to make a push in.
Yeah, and this is kind of the first time that VENGEURR's had a stack that is outstacked MAXTER right here. Ooh, big hit. Flames do come out, and there is the frag. Gonna get the Mega to stop those. And that is a huge frag as we enter into the final minute. It's still not over quite yet, but giving just a little bit of cushion here. As VENGEURR now, will he go into a more defensive mode? 2 frags can be made up here. Oh, the rocket jump up, and there is a kill, but it is a trade. That's probably the best thing that VENGEURR could have asked for in the situation. That minute rocket almost hitting, and now MAXTER knows he's got to make a move, but he doesn't have a whole lot of options to do so.
He lost so much stack in that previous engagement. That machine gun damage was obscene. MAXTER flying, yeah, in a rather predictable curve through the air, making it very easy for VENGEURR to get that damage off. And now, what does he have left in the tank? Wait, 20 seconds to get the frag. He hears his opponent. I liked what he was doing earlier, slow playing it, right? Kind of crouching around the map, hoping to catch his opponent off guard, but he just doesn't have the time for that. He needs to charge behind his opponent, chase him down, but that will not happen.
That'll be GG.
Yeah, GG. And that means VENGEURR match point.
Yeah, and I mean, not a comfortable match point, right?
No.
All of these games have been incredibly close. I don't think you can say, oh, I'm up a game, this is no problem. I mean, clearly, VENGEURR has been put to the test here on the finals day. First of the loss from teammate Razy, now MAXTER fighting for his tournament life, and of course VENGEURR fighting for his. Saw some really, really great play out of MAXTER, and again, from a champion that we don't see very often, the Death Knight, and I felt like how MAXTER utilized it was quite good, right? Got him that first frag, got him the you know, I think the second one as well. He used it to zone a couple of times to regain control on the map. So, you know, masterful play here from MAXTER, but VENGEURR with all the right moves. And I think once again, MAXTER outdamaged VENGEURR that game. Not mistaken.
I think he did, yeah.
Just by a couple hundred points.
Yeah, it was overall relatively close, I agree, but indeed, looking at that, I'm inclined to believe you, Wheat.
Yeah.
Especially, right, the railgun damage, that's what stands out the most. 1,440 damage with the rail, and also looking at the control, again, significantly in favor of MAXTER.
Yeah.
This has got to be, I mean, on the one hand, this is great for VENGEURR because he wins the map. On the other hand, it is no doubt frustrating that yes, you're winning, but you're being out-damaged, you're being out-aimed, you're being out-controlled. That is your opponent who's picking up most of the items. That does not just bode well, right?
Yeah, and if you think about that particular setup going into Blood Covenant now, where we have VENGEURR on the clutch and MAXTER on the visor, you know, item control is going to be incredibly crucial for both in the situation, right? I mean, it gives VENGEURR with the clutch such an unbelievable advantage, having the shield on top of it.
Yes.
And obviously with MAXTER, it could allow him to get a little bit more aggressive, maybe burn that shield and then get those frags. So, you know, how this one will play out, the interesting thing is that they're going to be sort of fighting for this control without, you know, the same speed that we would see on some of the champions that we've seen during the meta. So how do you think I mean, I'm trying to think about how the clutch movement is going to potentially benefit or, dare I say, hurt.
I don't think VENGEURR would be playing clutch if he's not confident in his ability to do well with it. So looking at this one, I'm a little bit worried for MAXTER. Visor is not exactly a powerful counter pick to the clutch, right? There's a few champions, like for example Ranger with the Orb, Sorlek with the Spit, Athena, Nyx, that either have damage to retaliate with, or they've got mobility to get out and stay clear from that shield when it gets popped. MAXTER has none of that. Playing Visor, all he can do is use the piercing sight and trying to get damage in from a distance. But if VENGEURR gets close, I'm very, very worried for the Argentinian player.
Yeah, this is already a super interesting start as we are going to see VENGEURR go massively aggressive with that shield down below in the LG room. You called it exactly. And that is kind of scary, right? The fridge coming at you, shield out. He also picked up the rail right away, immediately just avoided the heavy. He's like, I can actually win a game with the shield, but didn't quite land that initial rail. But MAXTER now got to be thinking to himself, well, wait a second, how's this one going to play out?
Yeah, big rocket damage though. I'm surprised. VENGEURR with the jump shot.
No!
And he immediately catches MAXTER again. But now just look at the stack that he has, right? Previously, MAXTER tried to push in. Oh, VENGEURR has no idea that MAXTER was there. That would have been such an easy kill if VENGEURR knew that he was up there. But now it almost ended up being a trade. Oh my goodness, 4-0 up already. This is looking disastrous.
The clutch Blood Covenant meta has been born here. Flea, kind of ridiculous because already in this first minute and a half, VENGEURR making it look so easy. And I never like to call games early, but what is so interesting is like versus a champion like Clutch, suddenly being down by 4 in the first 90 seconds, that's a rough go.
Indeed.
I mean, MAXTER's going to have to absolutely just be on his best rail game. He's got to figure out a way how to chunk and then be able to capitalize on those.
I both love and hate that you say that, because when the moment you said that, MAXTER had 0% rails fired and landed.
Is it a couple here?
Yeah, here we go, finally. He's got to keep this up, right? First railgun shot fired 2.5 minutes into the game. Not the situation that you want to be at, but of course that's got so much to do with how VENGEURR has been playing it. And also just with the lack of mobility that Visor has, right? There's so little you can do to get onto the rail. It's always a risk. Don't have a double jump, don't have a hook. You've got nothing to just quickly get in and out and walk away with that weapon.
And now, MAXTER's really got to be thinking about what are the situations that I cannot win if VENGEURR has shield up. That's pretty much anything that's not a long or mid-range battle or shot, in my opinion. 7 minutes left to go. A lot of time. Big rocket coming out. There's the LG, but coming right back and answering the huge rail from VENGEURR as MAXTER falls down below. He did pick up the heavy, and that is going to be yet another frag here for VENGEURR, and now it becomes almost a Quake puzzle game. Like, what is the Visor going to do, and how is he going to approach this to try to bring it back?
MAXTER getting a bit of a lucky break right there, that VENGEURR missed almost all of those rails. Only the very last one actually ended up connecting, because that allowed him to get a lot of free unreturned damage off with that heavy machine gun. And now we can apply some more pressure here at the heavy. It has been taken. It does end up going towards VENGEURR, but look at the stack. Wait, this absolutely isn't the kind of obscene monster stack that we sometimes see Clutch dominate the arena with.
But holding on to that shield, and rightfully so. Yes, it can be used as an aggressor, but it can also be used if MAXTER does get that small window of opportunity to hopefully negate that out. So, the vision here, it's, I don't know how helpful it's actually going to be. And what I think is really important is that in the next couple minutes that MAXTER does find a frag to at least bring it a little bit closer, because he will have limited options as we get further and further along. There will be a point in which, you reach it and it could be statistically impossible to just get the frags you needed, but here he goes. Still no shield, waited till the last second. MAXTER does manage to LG him down. He doesn't walk away from that incredibly clean fleet, but the most important thing is he got that frag, and that's exactly right. Suddenly that 3 frag lead looks a little bit more obtainable than what he was up against just moments ago.
LG is looking solid. VENGEURR unable to get out. And MAXTER has indeed slowly but surely been closing the gap, Wheat. Only 2 frags separating these two, down from 4 earlier. Heavy is going to be up in just a few seconds. Let's take a look at the stats real quick. Once again, MAXTER doing more damage. Item pickups have been pretty much equal. Both players landing a lot of rail by now, so that's good for MAXTER.
What's really interesting is that MAXTER's approach is just to use his fundamentals, right? His LG's been on in all 4 of the games that we've seen. He continues to kind of use that. He is, you know, setting up little traps and trying to anticipate where his opponent is. He's, you know, unfortunately, there's sometimes you just can't deal with clutch aggression. He's just going to catch his opponent right here. He's landing some nice rails. But if he keeps, you know, delivering with his fundamentals, that could just be a strategy that works out for him.
It most definitely could. Now both of the items are up. VENGEURR, I feel like being a little evasive already. Still got 4 minutes left to play, doesn't want to get into an open brawl just yet. And he realizes too that MAXTER has done a lot to stabilize this, right? He knows that MAXTER now has got a much better grasp on the map than he did in those opening minutes, especially with those kind of defensive rockets. Stacks are now pretty much equal. Luckily for VENGEURR, the shield is still up. Otherwise, I do think that MAXTER would have tried to get more out of that engagement.
Yeah, I completely agree. And he's still got to be careful. We're going to have vision popped. It's going to give him opportunity to know exactly where his opponent is. As VENGEURR just doing a little dance behind the wall there. Rocket jump over. Yep, he's still there. VENGEURR heard that and was waiting, anticipating it. Dropped a rocket, but just a little bit of damage. So 3 minutes left to go. 2 frags separating these two. What an unorthodox game here on Blood. We saw the early aggression come out from VENGEURR, using the bulliness of that clutch. But it has limitations.
It does. It absolutely does. Now, on the other hand, it's also a very difficult situation for MAXTER, right? Because as you said, rail is going to be critical, right? But rail doesn't usually clean up these kinds of frags when your opponent is so much faster, right? Like you rail, VENGEURR gets around the corner, right? He's fast. He's got the dash. It's a fast robot. And what do you do as Visor? How do you chase across the map that is Blood Covenant? There's very little that you can do. So MAXTER is trying to find this delicate balance between, you know, kind of slow walking around the map, setting up traps, catching his opponent off guard, and still being there to apply pressure with the railgun. But just look how fast VENGEURR is moving around the map. Oh, he's actually falling back down.
Does get hit with that. MAXTER will grab the Mega. I mean, it was pretty wild that VENGEURR decided to go on the run and MAXTER actually disregarding the major items as well, just to keep that chase going, which is absolutely necessary because there's less than 2 minutes left to go, and you've got to still make up 2 frags versus VENGEURR, who's held on to his shield for about the last 2.5 minutes. He hasn't really put in a position where he can use it aggressively. There's a big, big direct rocket coming out. That will force MAXTER back just a little bit. Mega is back up. But what does MAXTER do? VENGEURR seems to have this on lockdown at this moment, but MAXTER looking for an opportunity to just crash the party and make something happen.
Fumbles the rocket jump, though. I was on MAXTER's point of view. This is a critical phase, Sweet. The future of his tournament life will all be decided in this final minute. Good LG, 160 damage coming out of that. There we go, VENGEURR gets caught against the wall. He's gotta go, he's gotta push this, but he won't get the frag. MAXTER calling GG's already.
Wow.
He knew he had to go for it. He knew he couldn't wait after that initial opening damage. He had to make a move on it. And running towards the stage, joining us once again. Is that a sex, Dan? How was that for you?
I'm told they can't GG early, and I have to sprint now. But
That, I think that, you know,
some cardio, do you?
that was a respect GG. Maxter knew he had one chance. He took it. It's
Yeah,
like,
no.
it's over. That wasn't a like, I'm just mad. You're totally destroying me.
No.
Like, you know, that was a loud GG. Hello,
because what else happens, right? If you don't chase, he's going to get the Mega, right? There's 50 seconds left. You're going to have to run all the way to the other side of the map, go for small armor, go for heavy. Like, nah, he had to go for it, so...
Congratulations to VENGEURR. How
Yes.
about a round of applause for MAXTER, who had a phenomenal tournament, some great entertaining games, took a map off of VENGEURR too, that corrupted keep game. Drop it on us. What do you think of this matchup?
it was an incredible series. Yeah, I think, you know, particularly the first few matches, it felt that MAXTER had VENGEURR's number, out-damaging him, had a lot more control as well. And I think as the series went on, VENGEURR did stabilize. But particularly in that last map, right, I just felt he got out-picked because the snowball off the front, off the start of the map, Clutch has that potential. VENGEURR was able to do it and execute really well. You see MAXTER thinking it's an opening here, but then just getting caught from above. But the problem is that the limitation advisory doesn't really feel that it adds enough. The vision is not sufficient to counter what Clutch is bringing without the ability to boot, right? You can see, hear, and sense Clutch at all times. So what is really that vision doing? And that was the deciding factor. But pretty much every map went to the absolute wire because they were just tied neck and neck. And I predicted a VENGEURR outcome for some apparent reason after this morning, but he managed to do it.
He did. And we've got VENGEURR on the stage with us here. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
That must have felt pretty good.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I didn't start the day very good, and I think anyway, Racy played super good. Like he was hitting every shot, and I really struggled to find my game. But I was like trying to, you know, push myself into this match, like, and trying to like redeem myself later on. Like the day is long, and nothing is lost. You know, there is a long day ahead, and I am confident in my skill. So.
Yeah.
Okay, well, VENGEURR, I just want to ask you about the picks for the final map, Clutch. Right, it's not the most common pick. I don't think we've really seen him during this tournament. How do you feel like he works at LAN right now? Where is his spot within the meta?
I played Clutch a lot against Kilson on the same pick, so he was Visor, I was Clutch, and he actually worked out even online. So I just went for my instinct and picked him. Like otherwise, I would have gone like Galina, but I wanted something that gave me speed. Like if I had to like play a plus back game, I had the capability with the Clutch.
Yeah, of course.
I want to know, I mean, you're obviously a very cerebral player and I think one of the most stable players mentally, but how on a day like this, when you get put into the lower bracket in the way you did, do you mentally reset? Do you have any kind of processes or exercises just to stabilize so you don't basically go in with that tilt? Because it wasn't a long break.
Well, if I am at this stage now and I have won in my career already, I already know like how can I reset. Even if something didn't go my way at the beginning, doesn't mean that it has to be like that for the whole day. I think I am confident. I practice a lot, and I deserve like other players to win the belt, and that's the goal. And I'll try my best today.
Let's talk a little bit just about the tournament overall, right? You know, coming into this, the #1 seed, is that put any additional pressure on you, or is it just all about reaching the finish line?
Seed doesn't matter to me. Like what I do online and what I practice is just the way I want to. Obviously, everyone wants to win. So if I can get a better seed, that's fine. But what matters at the end is winning the event. So I don't really think about seed #1, 2, or 3. I don't really care. What is the most important thing is lifting the belt at the end of the event.
Yeah, well, and to follow up with that, now you've kind of got this longer road. We've talked a little bit about the whole idea is that you go to the lower bracket and you've got to fight your way through. You kind of have a little bit of a disadvantage if you make it to that finals, but is that affecting anything, or is it just whatever is right in front of me, knock that boss down and then move forward to the final goal?
Fairy tales wouldn't be easy, like, you know. They have a rough road ahead, and I'm confident that I can do it.
Great. Any final questions, gentlemen? All right, is there anything you'd like to say? We've got a lot of fans out here. Take it away.
Yeah, like after my match against Racing, I got a lot of support. People trying to cheer me up because probably they saw I was feeling really down. So I'm really grateful to all my fans supporting me as always. To Maestro, to Logitech, as always, for bringing to support me for everything they do. That's it. I just want to keep playing and try to find my shape like I did yesterday.
Well, you're going to get your wish.
Just shout me out.
Don't shout him out.
I went to the gym with him yesterday. You're actually in good shape, so.
VENGEURR, congratulations. Get yourself a little break, and we're going to take a break ourselves. And when we come back, it's another matchup in the lower bracket. Is that right? Yes.
I told you, you're useless. Seriously.
Wow. Wow. Unbelievable. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, QuakeCon 2023 and the Quake World Championships continues. Don't go away.